Conflict management and negotiation. This is what we will be discussing in today's presentation. It is all about conflict and how to resolve conflict is the crux of the discussion. Remember, the agenda that we need to go about is basically looking about what exactly is conflict and the various negotiation strategies thereby how to mitigate those conflicts or the crisis, avert the crisis in short. The basic concepts of conflict, the strategies for conflict management, the art of getting others to say yes and come to your viewpoint, agree to your viewpoint is what negotiation is all about it. The styles, the approaches in negotiation, the negotiation skills, how to make a great deal, beyond substance, the formalistic factors and conclusions, managing conflict intricacies through negotiation as the case might be. This is what we will be covering in today's presentation right now. It will be approximately 24 minutes presentation, video presentation that we are going across this. So let us proceed. So introductions, inevitably conflict is prevalent across the environment. You name it, we have conflict both in our personal life and in professional life. We have conflict in our society, in our community. We have conflict in the world as a whole place. So conflict is inevitable. We just cannot avoid it. Changing perceptions about conflict and the role of negotiation is what we need to understand. Not all conflicts are detrimental or bad. Some conflicts are beneficial and are required for the advancement of our thought, the advancement of our career, for advancement or upgradation of ourselves. So let us understand conflict. Shift from a narrow sense of conflict as a harmful force to a much wider sense as a productive force in an organization or society. The key idea is collaboration, cooperation, and compromise. What are we looking into a conflict and how do we resolve it? It is all about cooperation or collaboration or compromise. Remember, collaboration is a win-win situation. Cooperation is also a win-win situation. Compromise is a probably win-lose or lose-win situation, or where there's partial win and partial win situation. So hard-on issues that becomes around it. Soft-on people, main mantra involving in solving conflict through negotiation, as the case might be. So the basic concepts of conflict. Conflict is a struggle. It's a contest. It's attention. It's an attention given to a one particular issues where people have different perceptions about it. So the struggle, the contest within a person or between the person vis-a-vis opposing requirements, be it needs, ideas, beliefs, values, and goals, as the case might be. A disagreement between two or more people about policies and process, activities, or outcome is what we are thought akin to. So there is a disagreement, there is a disharmony, there is a dichotomy of the situation that comes around it. The conflict is neither benevolent nor in an evil in itself. You know, you have to take advantage of the situation about the conflict that presents. And believe me or not, every situation, every problem is an opportunity. It's the way you look at it. A natural phenomenon of a personal or organization life is what we are looking forward to. So let us understand the basic concept, the traditional view. The view of a conflict is harmful, prevalent in World War II. Obviously, yes, people think the moment, and it is true as of today also, the moment we utter conflict, it means there is a negativity all around. So conflict results in poor communication, lack of openness, and failure to respond. And that is what we are looking as far as conflict is concerned. So we need to prune our responses. Current view, conflict is natural and inevitable outcomes. Focuses on the productive conflict resolutions. Conflict is not a positive force, but also an absolute necessity for a group to perform effectively, as the case might be. And this is what we are looking forward to. Right. So basic concept. What do we about know about the conflict? Traditionally, we think conflict is all about negativity, but present as of today, it is think as the only way to sustain yourself. In today's point of view, it is almost natural. It is a part and parcel of the life. In fact, it can foster productivity. It is not only positive but also probably absolute requirement to understand the situation minutely and conceptually. So conflict types, there are four basic types of conflict: interpersonal, intragroup, intergroup, and interorganization. What is interpersonal? Where there is a conflict between two or more person. Interpersonal, one vis-a-vis other. What about the group? When these two person have a large number of followers, as in a group that goes around it. So group one and group two. People with self-vying interest of group one, which gets into conflict or which gets into discussion or which gets into a disharmony between the self-interest of the group too. So that's an intra-group that comes around it. Now, what is intra-group? Now, what is intra-group is within a group of people, within the group A itself, there might be opposing views with minor altercation here and there. So we have interpersonal and intergroup, which is between two persons and two groups together. But when it comes to the intra-group, it is within the group, there's a conflict. And then definitely, as with interperson or intergroup, it's all about inter-organization, where two corporate body, two organizations, two institutions, two enterprise are at loggerhead with each other to vie for the attentions, vie for the interest, vie for the market pie, and whatever you're looking at it. And that is what conflict types is all about it. So conflicts are both structured and unstructured, which is bound and not bound by rules. At times people both play by the rules, but at times people do not play. They play dirty, might be. There is something called functional or beneficial conflict, and there is something called dysfunctional or harmful conflict. And this is what we need to understand every now and then. So basic concepts. Remember, all functional conflict is uplifting, whereas all dysfunctional conflict is going to downtrod you. So dysfunctional conflict hinders the goals and lead to damages, whereas functional conflicts are supporting the goals and improving the performances. So an element of conflict is always required. It is required to be healthy, to be on your toes, and that is what is being prescribed. So nothing like it. So if a conflict has to be depicted by a pictograph, and this is the slide that comes around it, wherein the red person or the blue person, the red group or the blue group, where the red organization or the blue organization is interperson, intergroup, and interorganization comes around it, and they are at loggerhead. And when somebody wants to mitigate those conflict, and this is what the pictograph is all about it. But had it been an intra-group, from the red group, people might have different points of view, or people from red blue group will have their own point of contentions. So that is the strategies. Now let us understand what the strategy is to be maintained by this particular situation, person, or um, in concern, to avoid conflict between two different opposing points of view, values, and ethics. So strategies for conflict management. One, and the first one things is to involve into the process altogether, antecedent condition. Now understand the personal variables, understand the fact what are the thought process of a person, the group, and why is it that they have been hurt by the upcoming situation or arising circumstances. So that is antecedent conditions, your thought process. Then comes the cognition and personalization is the felt differences. So what is the cognition? Basically, when you perceive that things are not going in your favor, and that is what cognitions is all about it. The behavior, the overt actions, and the conflict, as a case might be your behavior, as a case thereby outcome change in the performances. So we are looking at the outcomes. Probably if somebody's the outcome is in someone's favors, vis-a-vis it goes against another gentleman or the lady in the context, it becomes a change in performance, and that is what conflict is all about it. So conflict process involves antecedents, cognition, behaviors, and outcome. It is your thought process, it is your behavior, it is outcome, it is your background which actually helps or augments the conflict. So conflict management is avoiding. What is it? Avoiding those behaviors, the thought process, the outcomes, the antecedent condition, or delaying perhaps, or containing the symptoms of conflict, as the case might be, rather than to resolve the root cause of conflict. This is what we are looking forward towards it. So yes, conflict management is avoiding and delaying, is containing a symptoms of conflict rather than resolving the root cause as on when on basis. So we have a win-lose model, I win, you lose model in a conflict. Anywhere there are four outcomes, right? So I can win, you have to lose, or you can lose and I can win, or I can lose or you can win, or let us make it sure that neither of us win. Or the best scenario, can both of us win? I win, you win, or it should not be you lose, I lose kind of scenario. So let us have this win-lose model which comes around the four outcome: I win, you win, I lose, you win, I win, you win, I lose, you lose. And the last would be the rational problem solving models, more applicable in the structured conflict, using the rule of law and the well defined process. So the case might be, let us understand the conflict handling intentions, wherein on an x axis we are planning for or plotting the concern for self. We can have a low concern and a high concern. We are very passionate about the cause, we are dispassionate, or we are indifferent to the cause altogether, being low. And when we are passionate, we are very high. But what about concern of others? If we can plot it on the y-axis again, concern from others would be again on the lower side, when we hardly care anything. Whatever happens to the other person is none of my business. Or probably we have a huge concern about the, it is the others' welfare, which is at the core of the heart of mine. So it's a concern from others. So concern for self is to be depicted as assertiveness, and concern from others would be said as cooperativeness. So when both are low, both for assertiveness and cooperation is low, we are running away. That means you lose, I lose. Right, we are running away. But what happened when my concern is very high? That means I win, you lose. Or should I say competitive? It is very tough. I'm not given an inch without a fight. So it's the fact, it's the concept of I win, you lose. Whereas in the fact of when I'm more interested in your well-being and least interested, or probably I can forego the conclusions part of it. So it's all about accommodating in the sense I lose, you win. I will let myself lose and you will. It's an all about accommodating of friendlier, healthier person. But then what is the collaboration function? It's wherein I am hugely concerned about my self-interest. At the same time, I do not want to compromise on your self-interest also, on your interest also. That is where I'm looking for a win-win situation. It is collaborating as a problem solver. You also win, I also win. Everybody comes out as with a smile on the face. But then I lose, you lose, I win, you win, I win, you lose, or you win, I lose is not the ideal situation every time comes around. Can we have a middle of the road policy, something called compromise, in which I can say I win a little, you also win a little, somewhere down the corner, or I give up something, you also give up something, or I lose a little, you also lose a little, is the compromise factor that comes around it, and that is what is the strategies of conflict management. Yes, negotiation, the art of getting the others to say yes to your requirement, to your request, to your orders. Negotiation is a tool of conflict management, almost like an everyday phenomena for public servants, based on the general premises of win-win situation, more relevant and popular as conflicts are getting complex day by day as the passage of time which comes around it. Negotiation as a tool of conflict management, almost, remember, almost on an everyday basis. As a public servant, people work upon it based on the general premises of win-win, as the case might be. So negotiation, how do we go around it? The elements of negotiation is power, information, time, relationship. And these are your elements of negotiation, you can give some of your powers, you can wield all the powers, you can have all the information and some of the information. Time can be on your side, cannot be on your side. You have deadline to be met for relationship which you need to nurture or which you need to forego is the concern of a people, other people that is talking about your interest, others' interest, substances, options, and so on that comes around it. This is what we are looking forward as on basis. So that's the powerful factor that needs to be taken into consideration, both in terms of power, in terms of time, in terms of resources, in terms of concerns from other people, and so on and so forth. Let us understand negotiation is also an art. It is not only the resources that we can count upon and fight upon. We can also look it up as an art altogether. Types of negotiation is positional, vis-a-vis interest based, bargaining about a position versus principled negotiation, as the case might be. It's a positional versus interest based. Then there we have something called a hard negotiator or a soft negotiator, as based on the treatment of the people as the passage of time comes around across it. This is what we are trying to look forward. So, how do we go about it? Distributive versus integrative, sharing the outcome at the cost of other person versus reaching mutually satisfying result as what we are looking forward towards it. So, what do we go about negotiations? Positional versus interest rate, hard versus soft, distributive versus integrative, as the case might be. This is what we are looking forward to. So, let us understand the various steps. Basically there are n numbers of steps and n numbers of philosophy that has been going around it. But for the purpose of this particular video, I am going into the broad steps that actually goes for as far as negotiation is concerned. Let's say the general step is always preparing your turf altogether, your opening statement, your bargaining, what are you willing to lose, what are you willing, what are the must all things that needs to be there at the end of the negotiation and probably closing. So we have a preparation stage, the opening stage, the bargaining stage, and the closing stage. Remember, opening and bargaining is actual negotiation been happening around it. Preparing is wherein you prepare on your all your documents, all your requirements, all your feedback, all your sentiments, and ensure it out. That's about your preparation. Preparation also includes to understand the perspective of the opponent party. What are the pain points? How do they negotiate? And what is the style about it? And basically, once you are well prepared, you can go into the negotiation stage in a very confident fashion. Then we have the red pack. Red pack is rapport analysis debate. What is rapport analysis debate? Is wherein you build up a rapport with the conflicting parties. You need to understand there are certain common ground that both of the parties would not like to tread upon one, or the common grounds which they are absolutely sacrimonious and they want to have it on their own. So this is what rapport building is all about, in which you are good at it probably. Then start with analyzing the problem. What is the pain point? How do you go about it? And debate upon it. What is right and what is wrong? This is RAD, that is rapport analysis and debate. Then we come to PAC, PSC, is purpose, agreement, and close. Now, the outcome of negotiation process is to settle the issue once and for all, and that is what purpose is all about. It agreement. You come to an agreement and close it. So that is red pack, the rapport analysis, debate, propose, agreement, and close. Let us also visit the J.E. Osborne's 6 steps. That is what is preparing, listening, reconciling, specifying, focusing, and suggesting. The preparation stages is where you will actually come to know what is right, what is wrong, and how to go about it. Right. I've already stated in the general step, preparing will not only understand your perspective but also the other's perspective. Listening is to understand not what the other person, the other party is saying to you, but also hearing what are the pain points. Reconciling is wherein you say which all the things are the must-have things in the agreement. Now, this is what you need to go about it, specifying what are the agreements that are all upon it, and focusing on the issue before you come with the suggestions, or at the should I say the conclusion part of it as the outcome of negotiation. So negotiation is an art that comes around. We have negotiation, you must be fully prepared to lose a great deal to make a great deal, and that is what an ancient proverb says. If you want to win big, you should be prepared to lose big. Getting to yes without giving in is Roger Fisher and William Earl tells. Now, what is Ori says, do not bargain over position, but bargain over interest. Give the higher position, higher killing to the other opponent party, but never give your interest. Separate people from the problem. It is hard, difficult, but definitely doable. Be soft on the people. Be good to be appeal to their good self. Focus on the interest and the principle. Use objective criteria and develop Bhatna. Bhatna is a presentation which will take a long of time. It's best alternative to a negotiated agreement where there is no agreement option. Bhatna, again I repeat, best alternative to a negotiated agreement. You should not. It's the second best option that comes around it. So let us understand with the styles and approaches in negotiations, what do they go about it? We are talking about win-lose theories, as I've been telling it to you with the prisoner's dilemma. Approaches are avoiding, collaborating, competing, compromising, and accommodating. These are the approaches which we have discussed in this particular presentation in the previous slides. If you just can go back, and you will come to see what exactly been meant by avoiding, I lose, you lose, collaborating, competing, compromising, accommodating as such. Six useful tactics is all about sharing information, ranking your priorities, knowing your target outcome. Make the first offer. Obviously, make the first offer and don't counter too low. Flexibility is the key, is what we want to go around it. So the scenario wise, what is we are looking at it, one track scenario, win lose scenario, random walk scenario, avoiding the conflict scenario. How do you go about it? Do you have only one agenda, one point agenda, then probably your negotiation is doomed to fail. If you have a win-lose scenario, things are not very healthy. If it a random walk scenario, as on when on basis, whatever things comes around it, and issues which might be a past, we have been reckoning it out, should be avoided. So conflict avoiding syndrome, as the case might be. How to make a great deal? First and foremost thing is to understand people. This is what we need to understand. It is not the issue that needs to be focused upon. Also, the person who is dealing with the issue should also be addressed to. Appeal to the good self of the person and try to focus on the issue and dissect the issue and resolve it. Focusing on the interest, insisting on the objective criteria as to what is expected and what not. That is what we are looking forward to it. Know your priorities, but do not counter too low. Do not offend the interlocutors. Appeal to their good self, as I keep on saying around it. Do not insult them. Do not hurt their ego. If you do it, so you are only digging your own grave. So be aware. Be aware of the use of dirty tricks. Tells about the situational skills. Partner is what we keep on about it. So a negotiated agreement is wherein you win, I win kind of situation, right? The best one thing. But what happens if the person are fixated upon certain issues which you are also not willing to give in? Now this is where you have to give some to lose some, or to gain some. So you have to give certain things probably, and then only you will like to win certain other thing, and that is what the best alternative to negotiated agreement is all about it. So be alert to the cross cultural sensitivity. Make sure that you are aware of the distance, space, time differences that comes around it, the ethics, the principle that people espoused upon. Different situations, different things, different powerful opponent, human side. It should be it should be taken into consideration. Remember, disruptive technologies to use or not to use, that is the question. At times, people utilize disruptive technologies to their advantage, but probably what happens is negotiation happens, conflict gets resolved, but there is always a chance that conflict will resurface altogether. Why? Because people might feel cheated after a due point of time. So negotiation skill is moving the out of the box situation as the key, getting into the balcony for yourself, rest to yourself, calmness, think objectively, always be respectful, always listen. What is the cheapest concession that person can always give? And that is respect. Power of reframing, moving from positions to moving to interest. So what is your position? How good are you at it, and how do you move around it? So power of bridging, make the other side easier to make the decision you want, which comes around it. So the make the other side easier is what is most detrimental things, as the case might be. This is what we are looking forward towards it. So beyond substances, the formalistic factors, as the case might be, setting position, be upright. No cross-leg position in front of our VIPs or dignitaries. No way that you can go about to offend the other person. No leaning on the sofa. When you sit for negotiation, be upright. Do not take any support. Observe the dress code people are following at no leg movement, hearing and there. Always, 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 I repeat, respect the others, their views, their cultures. Be sensitive towards the opponent party. More listening and understanding rather than speaking, because the more you understand, the better you will be able to comprehend and dissect the situation, come to a conclusion rather quickly. To know is to absolutely good to say I know, even when you are not asked, is equally as bad as possible, as the case might be. So let us understand beyond substance. Show your eagerness that you are interested for the negotiation. Show your willingness that you are there to work it out. So arrive arrival host or host or guest, be punctual, and if possible be the host. If not possible, be on time. So introduce what is how is hierarchy, or old to young or woman first. So that is what the hierarchy is all about. It first is old, then to young, and probably the woman first. So first introduce the senior most fellow, then probably to the younger fellows as the first, and the woman always first. From old to young, from older generation to the younger fellow, and the woman first, the ladies first. Serve the tea, serve the drink. Who drinks first? Table manners, especially in the lunch and dinner. Ladies, courtesy towards them. Ladies first, inquiring food stall lining, etc. Calling, writing the names, extra care in accuracy, including the designation of others. So beyond substance, what do we go around it? The first thing you see the photographs is the handshake. I have a firm handshake. Introduce yourself. Show that you are eager. Show that you are ready to engage. Have a pertinent eye contact. Be smiling. Have a smiling face. Smiling disposition. Physical closeness. Touching. Probably this is what we are saying. Certain culture says namaskara, hugging, kissing, handshake, bowing down, whatever the culture permits, please go ahead and do it. Be it handshaking, be it cheek kissing, be it hugging, be it saying namaskara or bowing down, as the case might be. Remember, negotiated intricacies are all about conflict, all about issues, all about interest. Negotiation intricacies are all about skills, getting the other person say yes as and when on basis. And in the end, we are talking about the conclusions of managing conflict through negotiation. Conflict may be short-term hardship, but will provide an opportunity for growth and development. And this time, it is for a longer-term horizon. Conflict management can be well aided by negotiation technique. The focus is to the key is to focus on principle, not position. Power. Conflict is like a strong wind. Build walls to block it. Build windmills, as the case might be. With this, I come to an end of this presentation. Thank you for watching this video.